All right, everyone. Welcome back to another lesson in the foundations. In this lesson, we're gonna talk about proper hand placement and guitar holding and all that stuff. Super quick lesson and just common things that I see beginners maybe mess up or make it a little bit harder for them when they're first trying to learn guitar. So, when it comes to the guitar body, right? Oftentimes, when I see people learn, or when they're learning, they are pitching the guitar out this way, okay? And what that does is that makes it more difficult for your hand because you need to reach around more as you pull a guitar up, pitch it like this, right? So what I encourage people to do is figure out where you need to put your fingers, right? And then actually pull the guitar closer to your body so that it's almost like perpendicular to the ground, up and down. That way it gives your fingers a lot easier chance to position it better. And in regards to what you do with the left hand, right? I see a lot of people trying to put their elbow out really far, and ideally you want to get it as close to your body and as relaxed to your body as possible. Another thing that I see with people is that with their left hand, they really crank their wrist like this. And this is actually very common because when you're first starting out, your finger strength isn't that great, right? And as you practice, it improves. And so if you keep it playing guitar with your wrist like this, you're going to start developing carpal tunnel and cramping. So eventually, as your fingers get stronger, you want to make sure that your wrist gets flatter and flatter, so it's almost straight. When I play, my arm and my wrist are virtually flat. So there is no cranking, So that's something to work towards. The other thing too is when you place your fingers, when placing your fingers on the strings, you want to use your fleshy parts, right? I see a lot of people, they try to use the flat part instead of the tip. That's what it is. You want to try to use the tip as much as possible and not the flat part, because when you use the flat part, unfortunately, it's going to mute other strings. Now with our method, with the two-finger method, it's not as big of a deal, but that's one thing that I've noticed. And unfortunately, it's a process of growing, because when you use the tip of your finger or try to use the tip of your finger, oftentimes it's going to be painful because you're developing calluses, right? And that area is kind of sensitive. But using the middle of the finger is a little more fleshy. It's not that bad. But unfortunately, it's going to mute the other strings. So what you want to try to do is bend your finger, curl your finger as much as possible so that you are using the tips of your fingers as much as possible and not flat. And if you look at my fingers, if you can see, I try to have a round circle when I'm pushing down on the strings. Maybe a little difficult to see. But that's a really quick lesson. The biggest one that you guys can do is try to keep your wrist straight, curl your fingers as much as possible, and bring your guitar closer to your body to make it easier for you to play as you're beginning to learn. So that's all for this lesson. We'll see you in the next one.